In the previous video, we already proved that the PPF curve should slope downwards. Otherwise, it will violate the concept of scarcity, which we learned in chapter 1. We also talk about, anything on the PPF or below will be feasible for the given amount of resources. Anything beyond the PPF will be infeasible. In other words, the economy cannot produce that many of goods and services for a given amount of resources. Okay. Here in this video, I'm going to show you a numerical example of the PPF. Now let's switch to the whiteboard, and I'm going to show you here. Once again, we put number of cars on vertical axis and number of potatoes on the horizontal. And to keep things as simple as possible, I already put 3 points, A, B, and C, on the graph. Let's start with point B because it's right on the PPF. Okay. Here we find that at point B, the economy produces 50 cars and 100 potatoes. So how could we interpret that? According to the definition of PPF, we would say that here at point B, if the economy already decides to produce 50 cars, then the maximum amount of potatoes it can produce with its resources would be 100. Or we can see this the other way around. We can say that if the economy already decides to produce 100 potatoes, the maximum amount of cars it can produce would be 50. Again, for the given amount of resources it has. Okay. Now we also find another point below the PPF on this graph. That's point A, right? At point A, the economy produces 100 potatoes, but only 30 cars. So any points below the PPF, just like A, is what we call inefficient, because with 100 potatoes produced, the economy should be able to produce 50 cars, but it only produces 30 cars. It means something is wrong. There got to be a better way to organize the production to make better use of the resources to produce more cars. Okay, so point A is inefficient. Point B, of course, is efficient. Okay, because we already used up all the resources in the best possible way. Okay. Point C here is an example of infeasible. So if the economy wants to produce 100 potatoes and 70 cars at the same time, it is impossible. Okay. Again, we would like to emphasize one more time that it is impossible at this moment for the given amount of resources. Okay. In the long term, when the economy has more resources, point C could be feasible or attainable. Okay. So here, we already talked about the downward sloping PPF, right? And we already talked about the efficiency versus inefficiency. Okay. And if we have to pick one place on this graph which represent the current situation of the US economy, okay, let me put it here. something you can think about. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. The current U.S. economy. Okay, you have to pick a place. It doesn't have to be among A, B, or C. Okay, you can put another place wherever you think it's most appropriate to represent the current situation of the U.S. economy. Then where do you want to put it? Okay, so this is something I want to leave for you guys to think about, and later during our virtual meeting we can talk about this. Okay. Also, at this point we already talk about the downward sloping thing of the PPF. What's left over for us to discuss is the bowed out curve, right? Remember, we said that there are three graphical features of the PPF. The first one is downward sloping. The second one is it's a curve. The third one is the curve is bowed out, right? So the bowed out curve thing we have not yet discussed. But to be able to do that, we have to talk about the opportunity cost in the first place, okay? Because that helps us define the bowed out shape of the PPF in an economic way, okay? Again, we're going to define the bowed out shape in an economic way. All right, that's what we're going to do on our next video.